Welcome to my channel. For today's video, I will show you how to play chess. But before we begin, if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more future content. Objective of the game is to capture your opponent's king. This is done through the movement of your pieces. Different pieces move in a different way. The king can move to any direction. The king captures the piece they move into. The queen can move any direction and any number of square. The queen can capture the piece they move into. Bishop can only move diagonals depending on the square they were placed. Bishop can capture piece they move into. The knight can move L shape on the board that consists of 4 squares from its original position. This is how it looks like. This is the piece that can only jump to others' pieces. The rook can move vertical or horizontal direction. The rook can capture the piece they move into. The rook can move any number square on the board. The pawn can only move 1 square across the board. Pawn has an option to move 2 squares only if the pawn has not been moved yet. The pawn can capture 1 square diagonally. The pawn has a unique move which is called the en passant. This only happens when the unmoved pawn moves 2 squares while there is a pawn on its side. The black pawn has an option to capture the white pawn by placing the pawn on its back. This is called the en passant. This is only happen during the turn when the white pawn moves 2 squares. If the pawn moves 2 squares and its opponent did not capture it by using the en passant, it plays another move like this. En passant will no longer be available on the next turn. And another unique way of pawn can actually be promoted once it reaches the other side of the board. For example, it reached this edge of the board. It has an option to promote to be queen, rook, bishop, or knight. Those are the selections for promotion. The unique move of king is called castling or castle. The king has an option to castle on the king side or on its queen side. If the king wants to castle on the king side, this is how it looks like. The king needs to step 2 squares, and then the rook on its king side needs to be moved on its left. While if the king wants to castle on the queen side, again another 2 squares, and then placing the rook on its right. Another rule before performing castling or castle is there should be no piece that can threat the king into a check. For example, there is a bishop here which is controlling this diagonal. the king cannot castle on the king side, as that particular square is being control of the bishop. But let's say there are pawns that block that strong diagonal, then the king can freely castle on the king side. Let's go back to the main objective of the game, which is to deliver checkmate. Checkmate only happens when the opponent's king is immobilized from the threat of its opponent. One of this example is the pawn game, which is pawn on e4, pawn on e5, queen moves to h5 square. Here, the black moves incorrectly because the black king moves on e7 square, and then the white queen can simply capture the pawn on the e5, which is checkmate because the king doesn't have any available square to move, as it is threatened by the white's queen. Always remember about king safety to avoid getting checkmate on the game. On this particular game, white is winning, as the white piece can simply deliver checkmate on the next 3 moves. For example, rook move on the square. Rook control this horizon. So the black king needs to retreat only on these squares. For example, he moves here, then white deliver another check, and then let's say black retreats, and then checkmate, as there is no available escape route for the king.